podcast one time, but if you have the gumption just to walk up with
I've got
a
you,
few
man.
hundred people and just say, you know what, cut a promo for my podcast, I will assume that you have good moxie. I will assume that the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast is a good one. I haven't heard a minute of it, but I'm assuming it's great.
Check
and I
us
can't
out.
wait to listen to it.
Check us out.
Cheers, man. Good luck out there.
Welcome to the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast, where we help you take the next step in your fantasy journey. Here's your host, Jake.
What is up, everyone? I hope we're all doing well. Like the intro said, my name is Jake, and I'm joined by my friend Jordan. Jordan, how you doing?
Excellent. I'm ready for another division breakdown.
Yeah,
Jake.
dude, call it out. If you're live on YouTube right now with us, I look like I'm living in a cloud.
Yeah, it does look a little hazy over there.
It's a little hazy. I promise you, it's not. Like, we're living the dream here. Like,
yeah, it's that air quality.
it's
Those
that air
quality
quality from
alerts.
Canada. No, I don't know what's going on, so excuse the... You know what, Jordan? I think it's time.
Time for a new...
We are three seasons in. It's time for a new camera. This camera, $10 at Walmart 3 years ago.
It is time.
It's time.
3 years ago,
time.
$10 at Walmart. Yep.
Why don't we quickly, before we get into anything, let's announce. We said something on our Facebook page, but we're selling T-shirts now.
We're getting into the merch game. We're dipping our toe into the merch game, if you will. Yeah.
No pressures. But if you want one, you can DM us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. Look us up. You should be there already. If you're not, get there. Jordan, do you have any news today?
You know, I was looking. It's people not showing up to OTAs and stuff like that, and I don't like reading into that this early on.
So no.
So no news today.
Joey in the chat says selling merch and T-shirts can upgrade a $10 camera.
Buy T-shirts and then Jake can upgrade his camera.
There you go. That's not.
I'm just
fully-
kidding. Those are not.
I was gonna say that's not true at all. We're not making anything on those T-shirts. It's tricky, man. It's one of those things where it's like if you want to buy T-shirts or get T-shirts made, you'd have to sell like a bunch of them to get them like the price down. You know what I mean? Just all the stuff we're learning. That's all it is.
Yeah.
We're just learning.
Yep.
But if you want one, support us. It's super helpful. I'm gonna get one, maybe two. We'll see.
All right, Jake.
Probably not.
Even my wife was like, I got to get that green color. Give me one in the green. She
Get
said.
the military green.
Yeah, she's all excited about it. Yeah, so. That's 3 shirts already, Jake. One for me, that's 4
Let's
shirts.
go.
Come on. Get on board.
Like I was mentioning, we are on YouTube right now. We got some people in the chat. Joey made a reference to why it is cloudy in my room. Not appropriate. Jamie says, you know who didn't show up? Kieran Williams. That's hilarious. And John says the Eastern Conference Finals are starting for hockey tonight, so that's news. Not really. For us.
It's just as much news as WWE is on this show.
No. WWE is well represented on this show.
Okay.
The rest is not. So,
right.
Last week we did the AFC East. If you didn't watch that one, still pretty relevant so far. So why don't go back, watch it. I thought it was a good episode. I listened back to it the other day, and I thought, we sounded good. Not to toot our own horn, but we sounded good. So
we sounded good, and it's always fun. I like looking at these and going back because we get all of our bookets from these episodes, or a lot of our bookets from these episodes and stuff.
They're fun.
It's just a fun time. It's a great time.
They're fun. Jordan, before we get too deep into it, and I don't want to put you on the spot here.
Oh no,
Jordan, just so you know, you went a little blurry. You're out of focus. Put your hand on
I'm out of focus.
Yep. Put your hand on the camera. There it is, and it come. Oh my Lanta, that's not.
How's that?
It's beautiful now. Jordan,
great.
are we going to be? For anyone who is going to be here live with us, we will be bopping back and forth Wednesdays and Thursdays for a few weeks, right? And that is mainly just to get Adam here. So we'll kind of lock that down as we go on this summer, but we wanted to get Adam here the most. So,
Yep.
Just keep an eye out.
Summertime.
I think it'll be Thursday next week,
That's
right?
school year summer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Thursday next week.
All right,
Yep.
cool. All right, let's get into it. Also, the graphics department, very good. There's one of these graphics that the graphics department did today that I am excited to put on the Instagram. It looks really good.
One of these that we're going to look at
Yeah,
today?
one of these we're about to look at.
I'll be excited which one you like the
John
most.
says, I think Jordan needs an attitude adjustment from John Cena.
Oh, jeez.
You know, Jordan, you won't see him coming.
Okay. I'm moving on.
Jordan, what do you want to start with?
Might as
You
well
wanna
talk
start
about
at
hockey, Jake.
the top? Oh, no. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Jordan, you want to just start at the top?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into our first team of the AFC North, your Baltimore Ravens. Jordan, talk about Lamar Jackson.
Lamar finished last year as QB4. A new offensive scheme. So Adam would have a lot to say about new coaching for sure in Baltimore. He stayed remarkably healthy throughout the year. I think he only missed one game or something like that, which you love to see because that's always a concern with Lamar. Still had that rushing upside, 800 plus rushing yards and a handful of rushing TDs. He's projected right now to go as QB4 again. I think it's a perfect spot for him. He finished QB4. He's going to QB4 again. But that puts him in the 4th round, Jake, 4-8. And these are 10-team half-point PPR ADPs is kind of how we do this. So, Jake, end of the 4th round for Lamar. Are you taking him?
I think I start to think about it. That's my thought. I feel a lot better there than I do taking Mahomes 2 rounds earlier.
Or Josh Allen in the second or something like that. Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, I can start thinking about it because I think he has quarterback 1 upside in the 4th round. If you get a receiver, running back, receiver, running back. If you get 2, like, you could like your first 3 picks. I have no problem if you want to start with a Lamar in the 4th round.
He's down a bunch of weight. That's hot off the press, Jake.
It is hot off the press.
That was quicker than ever. No. Lamar, you're right. This is the first spot. If Lamar slips into the 5th round, and some of these other quarterbacks start slipping, that you're like, oh, these are kind of that top 5 group of, and they slip into the 5th round. That's when I'm like, oh boy,
I'm starting to think about
my chops a little.
Because I mean, most of these top 3, top 4, top 5 quarterbacks all have quarterback 1 upside. But I'd rather have Lamar in the late 4th than have to take Josh Allen in the 2nd.
In the 2nd, agreed.
When Lamar could easily finish ahead of Josh Allen. Right?
Yes.
Moving on, we got Derrick Henry quietly finished running back 5. Which is a bummer. Selfishly, I had him in the home league, and I had him for the first 6 weeks, and it was terrible, so I got rid of him, and then he just turned it up. So that's why I say quietly. Going in the 4th round, Joey says, hot take, Derrick Henry finishes in the top 5 at half-point PPR leagues.
Well, he finished in the top 5 this past year.
Correct. So you're asking, does it get better, worse, or the same for Derrick Henry now on the Ravens?
Yeah. I love the football fit here.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
My fantasy take, Jake, I don't know if I'm willing to book this, but
then don't say
I think
it.
he does worse.
Oh, that's not. You're right. That's a terrible book. Worse than running back 5.
He's. I'm not gonna. He. I think he does worse. Even though the football fit is going to be excellent. Like as a football player and as a team, I think the Ravens really benefit from having Derrick Henry. The Titans, he was just feasting.
Yeah,
I don't think they need that out of him.
That's the thing. I don't know if he gets the touchdowns. I think that's a big thing. Derrick Henry is super interesting. Jamie, he missed some stuff. Yes, we did talk about him losing weight. It's super interesting because I could see him scoring 18 touchdowns this year. I could also see him scoring 7. And again, it'll be really hard to... Do you feel comfortable with him as your running back 1? If you are in a... Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you hate this start to your draft, okay? And I don't have all the ADPs off the top of my head, okay?
Yep.
Okay, so, sorry. Joey just looked it up. He has Derrick Henry. You must have typoed this, my man. Or it's changed a lot because he has Derrick Henry going in the 2nd round right now.
My source has him going in the 4th.
You want to look that up? Want to look that up right now?
I'll look it up. I did these earlier in the week.
Okay, assuming 4th round. Okay, do you hate taking Lamb and then taking? let's not use names, but just going receiver, 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 and then having Derrick Henry as your running back one.
Receiver.
So in typical leagues, you'd have.
I don't hate that at all.
And you'd have a high-end flex.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all.
No, I think that sounds really great. Jordan, you feel free to. You can probably drop. Like, what are we using for this? The site.
Fantasy Pros
Okay.
is my source right now.
Okay.
And last year we used something different. For me, I'm staying consistent with all. I commit to one and I use it
And
for
you're
the
just
rest,
gonna
of
stick with it.
the rest of the time.
And this is a good time to say, listen, these things change. It could change within the week. And if you're listening to this in August, I guarantee it's changed.
Yeah. It still has him in the fourth. Early fourth, late third, early fourth is his ADP right now, according to the source that I'm using. Again, but he's going as running back now. He's running back 10 and was 11, running back 11 at the time. So
do you?
I like him at that spot. Like if I'm getting him after in late third round or something like that, and he's my running back 1.
Do you like him
I
late
like
second?
that. No.
You don't like him there?
No.
You'd rather take a receiver.
Other people going in the late second,
Yeah.
Jake, are Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison, Kyron Williams, Saquon is kind of mid second.
Okay.
And then early, I guess running backs wise, are you taking him or Travis Etienne?
I probably want ETN, if I'm being honest.
What about Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs?
Well, that's tough because of the homer in me. I'd probably want Jacobs.
And what about Derrick Henry and Devon Achane?
I'd rather have Henry.
You'd rather have Henry.
Yeah.
So Achane is actually the one who's the highest in that whole list.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yep, he's going pick 19.
So Jordan, let me
anyway,
start.
Interesting stuff, but
Let's assume he is going second round and he falls a little. How do you feel about taking Tyreek Hill at 1-3? Right? Then, or something like this. Early first round pick, you take Tyreek Hill. Late second, you take a wide receiver who like Diggs, currently going 210. And then on the flips, you take Henry as your running back 1. I love that. I like
that's
that.
fine. I have no problem with Derrick Henry as my running back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
All right, let's keep her moving. You went and messed up the receivers. Let's just start by saying that. On our graphic here, we got Zay Flowers, and then Devontae Walker. Did you just forget about Rashad Bateman?
Hey, I triple checked this. On
I'm
the source,
looking
'cause I
at
said,
the Baltimore
"What's
Ravens
up?"
playbook or thing right now. And
Are you looking at their depth chart?
yes, you're reading it wrong. It goes Zay Flowers, and then underneath is Rashad Bateman, meaning he's number 2. Under that
very
is
important. Very important, Jake.
Yeah.
Very important. These are by ADP
Oh my
who is
gosh.
going first.
This
Is not the depth chart. It is about who ADP. But I'm looking at it now. They were actually right next to each other. It was Walker, and then 3 picks later, it was Bateman. And now it's the reverse.
Interesting.
Just a couple of days later. So the rookie, people wanted the rookie. People wanted it. Everyone doesn't like Rashad Bateman. I also had that same reaction, Jake. But
all right, Zay
I
Flowers,
apologize.
77 receptions, 858 yards last year, 5 touchdowns. Currently going in the 6th round. How do you like that?
I like that.
He's being drafted where he finished.
Yeah,
And the upside says he could be better than that.
it could be better. Yep, I got no problem with that.
A second receiver, no thank you. All right. Mark Andrews, tight end 11 finished last year, finishing as tight end 4. Or I'm sorry, being
He's going
drafted
as
as tight end 4. Pick 6'2". How do you feel about it?
It's too rich for a tight end.
It's too rich for my blood as well.
Yeah.
The other tight ends going ahead of him, I believe off the top of my head, we got Kelsey. Help me out so I don't freeze on here, Jordan. Jeez,
and
Hawkinson,
Gotta be the ones
Laporta,
to go.
McBride, right?
Yeah, let me look. I'll confirm. Sam Laporta, Travis Kelsey, McBride, Andrews, Kincaid, Pitts. Hawkinson's not going until 12. We'll get to that in the NFC.
Okay,
but-
we'll talk about that because I don't like that. But yeah, I mean, I think, I'm not a big Andrews guy this year, if I'm being 100% honest. I don't like that ADP at all. Joey has him as his number 1 tight end over Laporta, McBride, Kelsey, and Ingram.
The other reason is I feel like Isaiah Likely, who, again, by ADPs, ends up fitting in that flex spot. Again, I'm looking at just the top ADPs for these teams, and Isaiah Likely is the next on the list for the Ravens, and I feel like he played really well in backup of an injured Andrews.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's why I think
the Ravens
get
have a
more
fun
looks.
thing where if Andrews goes down, Likely comes in and is still a tight end 1.
Yeah.
Like you should. I have him on the home league. I'll probably keep him because, in well, we're in a dice league, but in a year we could see Andrews not there and likely is really good. He's
I
shown
like
he's
likely in the 19th round more than I like Andrews in the 6th.
Agreed. All right, and let's keep her moving. Let's go ahead.
Was this the graphic that you liked?
It was not. It was not the graphic. I'll let people see it. You can kind of see. So these are the NFL draft logos on the back. Who do you want to do next?
Bengals.
Bengals. That is the one. That is just.
That's what I'm talking
as
about.
the kids say, fire. First of all, great pick of Jamar Chase. If you're if you're listening later on, go check out the socials. We'll post this one or these. But the Bengals and the logo on the back is just chef's kiss.
Dick's a Bengals fan now.
No, not even a little. But chef's kiss. I'm proud of you. Or I'm sorry. I'm proud of the interns.
I didn't do this. What are you talking about?
All right, we got Joe Burrow. We've talked about Joe Burrow a lot in 2 years. I have been all over the place. He only played 10 games, got hurt. So he still finished as tight end or quarterback 25. 6th round. He's going 2 rounds after Lamar. The real question here is, do you like Lamar at 4'8" or Joe Burrow at 6'4" more?
Well, actually, Jake, my entire opinion is going to depend on if you give them the kiss. If you give Joe Burrow the kiss of death again this year.
I will reserve judgment on Joe Burrow.
Do you like him this year or not? Because if you like him, then I'm all about Lamar. Because that means that Joe Burrow's not going to do well.
Is T. Higgins there?
Assume T. Higgins is there.
I like him. I do.
All right, I want Lamar. Give me Lamar.
For anyone who doesn't know, in the past, I poo-pooed Joe Burrow, was that 2 years ago now, and then he just went and killed it, and then I loved him, and he got hurt this year. So
yeah, so
I think the opposite. I like him. I really do like him. This year, just coming back healthy. He's got T. Higgins. You got Jamar Chase. It's a good offense, right? So yeah, in the 6th round, sure. Honestly, I like that more than Lamar. I like Lamar more, but we on the podcast will definitely say wait on your quarterbacks. And going into last year, Burrow's ADP was right next to where Lamar's is now. So give me Burrow and still get a quarterback 1 who could finish as quarterback 1. It is certainly possible 2 rounds later.
All right. I'm taking Lamar.
All right.
Taking Lamar.
But that's not for statistical reasons. It's just because he's a jerk. Oh, there you go. Jamie says he likes Joe Burrow's hair more. So, boom.
That's how it works.
That's how it works. That is fantasy football. All right. You got anything else to say? We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
So running back, we got Joe Mixon left, went to Houston. So we got Zach Moss and Chase Brown. Moss did pretty well in relief of Jonathan Taylor last year. So obviously they come and sign him. They got Chase Brown from last year. So Zach Moss in the 9th, Chase Brown in the 12th. Which one would you take?
I love Zach Moss this year.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun.
I love Zach Moss this year. Last year he finished in relief of Jonathan Taylor and in just a crowded backfield in a weird Colts situation, finished as running back 27. Okay. He's getting drafted as running back 28 right now. I love that. He gets to be the guy.
By the end of the year, Chase Brown will have been a better. This
Care to make a wager, Joe.
$5 sub and a bucket. Chase Brown will have the better fantasy year.
Chase Brown, all right, that with his competing buckets.
Yeah,
all right?
My thought here is, he was already there. He really did. It looks like, he didn't do all that much, right? He didn't play for the beginning of the year and then just sprinkled in. But most of those stats, we have 179 rushing yards, 156 receiving yards, happened in the last few weeks of the season. Zach Moss is Alexander Madison 2.0 from last year.
That's why I see Joey said that in the chat. Nuh-uh. Because if that were true, Jake would love him.
Nope.
If that were true, Jake would love him.
I've had some bad takes. But I think with the receiving upside there, especially if full point PPR, I feel even better about it. But I like him 3 rounds later. I really do. Who's going around Zach Moss right now? I'll let you look that up. I'll let you look that up. Yeah, I'll let you look that up while I tell you. Mike Gesicki is their tight end. Might have touchdown upside, if you need a flyer, but not someone you're probably drafting. Currently going in the 22nd round, tight end 30. So not really if you're drafting 22 rounds, I will say tight end 30, good value. But it's not likely that that's happening for you.
All right, here's who's going around Zach Moss.
Yes.
Tony Pollard.
Oh my God.
Raheem Mostert.
I cannot wait to talk about Tony Pollard. Okay,
Jalen Warren. Austin
guys.
Eckler. Javonte Williams. Lots of running backs in this round,
I would take every one of those. Probably not Eckler. But every one of those guys over him.
You would take the backup Pittsburgh running back over the starting Bengals running back?
I don't think he's the starter, or he won't be the...
You would take... Yes, he is.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. Well, good thing we have a book at Jake, so we can go head-to-head on that one.
Yeah.
I'm all about Zach Moss. Take him.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll disagree. I think the receiving upside is what is the important part, and he's not going to get it. Zach Moss. So.
All right.
The role, which is a new face in the chat. Good to see you. Tony Pollard greater than Zach Moss by a mile. That ADP is nuts from Pollard, but we will talk about that.
How well did he do last year, Jake? Top 10? Top 5?
Stop it.
You think he went to a better situation than he had in Dallas? No way.
Well, okay, we'll talk about it.
We're doing AFC South. We'll do AFC South.
Fine, we can do that.
I got things to say.
Okay, that's just nuts. All right, Jamar Chase, wide receiver 13. He's currently going 1-4, so he's going behind Lamb, Hill, Jay Jets, and then Jamar Chase is number 4, and I feel like that is accurate.
No, he is going ahead of Justin Jefferson.
Oh my gosh, who am I forgetting? Oh, I'm thinking
McCaffrey, Lamb, Hill, Chase.
Okay, I like that. I mean, I really like that. Imagine getting Jamar Chase and then pairing it with Joe Burrow in the 6th round. I love that.
Oh man, now Jamar Chase is gonna have a bad year, Jay.
Okay,
why would you go?
right.
Why would you say that?
All right.
Why would you do that to him?
Okay.
No. All
take
joking
him.
aside,
Don't forget about, or take him and forget about it. Assuming health,
yep.
You're gonna get over 100 yards.
You like him more than you like Justin Jefferson this year? To me, that's the coin toss.
I do.
You do.
I do.
Okay.
I for sure do, and it all comes down to the quarterback. That's why.
Quarterback play.
Because each of them will be peppered with targets. Like you're not worried about that. And I think it's worth saying that. I would say that I don't know how to say this. I think that Minnesota's receiving and tight end core overall is better than the Bengals. Because, so there's more mouths to feed. Would you agree with that?
I see what you're saying. Yep. They have
Addison, who I think is really good, and we'll talk about him in a future episode. You got Jay Jets. And then you have Hawkinson, who is being underdrafted apparently right now, who's a top 5 tight end. Yeah. And then here you have Jamar Chase and a pissed off T. Higgins, who is not at OTAs right now. We should mention that. Neither is Justin Jefferson, but that's a different thing. And then Mike Gesicki. So, let's talk about T. Higgins. Let's assume he's playing, currently being drafted in the 7th round. If you're drafting right now, that's scary. For sure.
I wouldn't take him there.
No. But
not until there's assurances that he's definitely playing.
You have to, though, if he's going in the 7th round right now, 6'8" is what he's going for, wide receiver 28. The moment he signs his tender, that has to jump, correct?
Probably. Do you think
2 rounds?
Right now,
I think it jumps. If tomorrow, May 23rd, he signs his tender, I think his ADP jumps 2 rounds.
You think he's going to go from 6 to 4?
Yeah.
Wow, I don't think he'll go in the 4th. That seems crazy.
Well, he's in my opinion, it's him and Waddle are the 2 like wide receiver 2s on the NFL team that get drafted really high.
Yeah, I guess in the 4th round, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith,
and he'll go right in that group.
In the 4th round. You're probably right.
Yep,
I stand corrected, and no Tyler Boyd there either. So I think that's a target share boost.
Let's reserve judgment. Why don't we talk about T. Higgins more when he signs his tender? Because right now I'm not drafting him in the 6th round. It just won't happen. Because there's too much of a risk, especially if you're deciding to draft in May. We'll have some leagues open here in the summer, and you have to think about that. If June rolls around and we're drafting for the June Next Step Fantasy Football League, that's hard. You don't want to take T. Higgins and have to rely on him because you just don't know. So, one of the guys in the chat says Higgins is on my do not draft list right now. So, I fully get that. Let's move on. Oh, jeez. All right, let's move on. What a graphic. Everybody just, let's get some clapping emojis in the chat for that graphic. That's a beautiful graphic. Let's move on to the Browns. Look at that little dumb dog. All right.
Wow. All right.
I couldn't think of anything else to say,
100-0,
so it
just
came
like
out
that.
real
Just
aggressive.
Slams on the brakes.
All right, so Deshaun Watson.
Moving on. Don't draft him.
Okay. We're 2 years removed from the suspension. On this podcast, when we started the thing, was when Deshaun Watson was going through all this stuff, and we decided that we would keep it really short, and we didn't want to talk about it because we thought, stuff. We thought things. All right. Currently, quarterback 22 in the 14th round. There's upside there. Yes.
I guess. I guess.
We just don't like Deshaun Watson on this podcast.
Yeah. If all my feelings about him aside, injury prone, and he's still, rumors out of training camp is he's not throwing because of his shoulder. And that's, to me, is concerning because, like, what was he doing all offseason then if he can't throw?
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about that. And then other quarterbacks that are going around him, Baker Mayfield. Who would you rather have, Jake?
I'd probably rather have Baker.
Other quarterbacks going around, Will Levis.
I'd rather have
goes
Levis.
around later. What about Geno Smith?
No. That's right, the spot.
And then that
you're
puts
just
him kinda
chasing
down in
history. That's what you're doing. You're chasing history. You're like, man, he could be top 5.
Yeah, that's tough. It's a tough
I just
spot
don't
to be.
see it happening.
But
let's talk about his receivers because he's got a pretty decent receiving group. Amari Cooper, just a disrespected man. Let's just say that. Finished wide receiver 16. Being drafted in the 5th round as wide receiver 24. Disrespect. If you can get him at 5'10" and have him as your wide receiver 2, sign me up.
Yeah.
What someone says in the chat, imagine starting receiver, running back, tight end or quarterback, and then getting Cooper as your wide receiver 2 in the 5th. I love that. That would just be the dream. The dream. We will die on this hill that Amari Cooper is underdrafted. Take him where you can. If you can get him late, do it. He's a wide receiver 2. Played 15 games last year, so he typically will miss a game or two. But no matter who's throwing to him, he's a perfect plug-and-play wide receiver 2.
Correct. And he's basically finished that way every year.
I mean, that's correct. You're getting Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, and T. Higgins, we're guessing, to go over Amari Cooper. So he'd go around later. How do you feel about
Amari Cooper?
Yeah, I'd rather have Amari Cooper than all of them.
Yeah.
And
not even around, he could slip to the 6th, 5'10".
Yeah. And John says he's so up and down, not worth the risk, is what he said in the chat. 72 catches, 1,250 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's not up and down for me.
No. He'll have a couple more touchdowns. That would just be the icing on the cake for this year.
Also, in typical drafts, too,
it's
he
also
won't
not a
be
risk.
your wide
In the
receiver
5th and 6th round, to me, it's not a risk. It would be a risk if he was in the 4th round or the 3rd round.
Yeah.
That would be a risk. But 6th round receiver, you're not going to do better.
Yeah, I agree. So take him. Do it. Let's talk about Nick Chubb. What are your feelings on him? Being taken in the 10th round right now? Is that true?
I bet you that changes when he gets some OTAs and stuff under his belt. Once people see, he's healthy and back, I'm sure that will change.
I think that'll jump 7 rounds.
7 rounds?
He's in the 4th round.
Back 30.
Running back's going in the 4th round. Let's say we look that up, and assuming a healthy cleanup or a bill of health. Sorry.
Yep.
He's looking it up. John says 1 week 3 points, next week 15, then following 4. I mean, he typically will have he has been known to do that, but at the end of this year, give me 1,200 yards out of a guy you took in the 5th round. Give me that. So.
Oh, back to Amari Cooper, yes.
Yeah.
But Nick Chubb, Nick Chubb he's at that same ADP, 10th round.
Okay, tell me what 4th round running backs are in that
Who
general
are the 4th round
running
backs?
Yeah. And then Oh, we didn't even talk about Jerry Jeudy. So do you have that?
You're jumping
I'm
around.
jumping.
But
sorry.
fourth round running backs are Derrick Henry.
Okay.
Would you rather?
I'd rather
of
have
course you'd
Henry.
Derrick Henry. Pacheco, Rashad White,
Oh, give me Nick Chubb.
James Cook.
Give me Nick Chubb.
Those are already in the 5th round though. The only 4th round.
Fine, but I
running
think
back
he
right
jumps
now
at least
is
5 rounds. A healthy Nick Chubb, I love that. If you're drafting today, take him in the 10th round, please. Please do that.
I think he will be undervalued because of how brutal that injury was, and he's getting older.
Yeah.
But I agree. Even if maybe at 4th round, I probably wouldn't. But if he ends up in the 6th, 7th round, I love that.
I agree. We missed Jerry Jeudy. Is he worth drafting in the 15th round?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
15th round? Great.
If he jumps double digits, like into single digit rounds, I don't want that. I'd
I do
feel
not
comfortable in the 10th, 11th. Double digits for me. If I'm taking Jerry Jeudy in the double digit rounds, I feel okay about that.
Yeah. 15th round is a great spot.
10th round, I feel good about it.
Well,
okay. But the point is there's some pretty good value to be had right there. Jamie, who is our resident Brown fan, does say that he is looking good at practice right now. Everybody looks good at practice.
would you rather have Christian Watson?
Yeah, I'd rather have Christian Watson.
Receivers?
Yeah.
Would you rather have Lad McConkey?
Oh, man. I do love me some Lad.
Would you rather have Jackson Smith-Njigba?
No, I wouldn't.
All right. So you're right. Maybe you do have him right there.
Yeah, right 10th.
A lot of rookies, a lot of those top rookies here
Yeah.
too. Keon Coleman's in that range.
All right, tight end David Njoku going in the 10th round, finishes tight end 5 last year, going 10.3 right now, tight end 9. Love that.
Yeah, it's a great spot. I like that.
Like that's the kind of tier of receivers we're going for personally.
Tight ends, but yes.
Yeah, thank you. Jeez Louise.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you want to talk about Jerome Ford?
Yeah, this also, so Jerome Ford might be another reason why Nick Chubb's stock is a little bit lower, barring the injury. Jerome Ford played excellent in relief of Nick Chubb. He kind of was that fantasy like waiver wire pickup that sort of saved a lot of teams after Nick Chubb went down early on. He finished as running back 19, so he was a low end running back 2 on the year, and he played in all 17 games, but the ones that he really picked up were after Nick Chubb went down. So smaller body of work at the beginning of the year. He also had that receiving upside, which I really like, 44 receptions. And right now he's going in the 13th round, which I like.
Yeah.
I like a 13th round. A late 13th round.
All right, yeah. I mean,
yeah, I don't mind that at all. Because he'd ride your bench anyway, and I don't hate that. He's kind of that Kareem Hunt type role where every week, you could stream him a week and he could pick up a couple of receptions and maybe a touchdown.
I like the 13th round ADP, more than someone we're going to talk about here in a sec. And that is a good segue. Let's go ahead and move into our last team of the night, which is your Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you
think of this graphic, Jake?
It's pretty cool. It's
not as good as the Bengals one?
It's not as good, but pretty cool. Can I just jump into the flex spot here? I think Jalen Warren has more touches by the end of the year, assuming no health issues. But I like Ford in the 14th more than I like Warren in the 9th. Would you agree?
Think? Oh, he has more touches than Jerome Ford.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I thought you were talking about the Steelers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like
Ford.
They're in the same tier for me.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see Ford stay there, and I'd like to see Warren drop a little better than 9-10, right? Because he's currently
Warren keeps climbing. His ADP keeps climbing. When I looked at it, I had to edit it because it keeps going up.
And we will talk about
Najee?
Yes, to Najee, and we'll talk about that. So we got new quarterbacks. We got Russell Wilson. In the flex spot, we also have Justin Fields. I'll let you go ahead because we've talked about
on the quarterbacks.
Yeah, on the quarterbacks. We've talked about that I do like Russ.
Yeah.
So I'll let
quarterback
you.
27 and 28 right now.
That's crazy.
So no one knows.
Yeah.
I think it hurts both of their values.
Yeah.
Both their values tank, and then they sit right next to each other. I think that this is one that, depending on when you draft, I think we could have a different conversation in August if they name Russ the starter or something like that. It could flip it. I don't think right now I would draft either of them until we have some clarity on what that looks like. Jake, do you care to make a book at who starts week 1?
Oh, it's Russell Wilson.
Interesting. All right.
I think there's okay. I saw a video, and it was some Steelers, and they were going through wins losses for them. I think, and they were kind of explaining how, right? You split here, you lose here, you whatever. They do not have a terrible team or a terrible team. It's a decent team. I think there is a world where they win 10 games this year.
The Steelers?
Yes.
Woo!
And if that's the case, Russell starts every game this year.
Well, yeah, of course. If they win
Yes.
10 games, then he's the starter for every single game. Yeah.
I mean, last year, what they finished last year with their record? Do you remember off the top of your head?
No, but I can figure it out.
You have the internet. You know, a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett, who was just a disaster last year. I have a lot of faith in Mike Tomlin. I think that's a big part of it. And Russell Wilson finishing as quarterback 13 last year, being drafted as quarterback 28, is disrespectful.
They finished 10-7.
There's not a chance. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. You finished 10-7 with a terrible Kenny Pickett. It's not outlandish when you think about it that they could win 10 games with a better Russell Wilson. It's easy to pick on Russ. He finished as a high-end quarterback 2 last year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, if it goes off the rails, then I think
Week
Justin
4.
Fields is
That's
week
my prediction.
4?
Yep.
Oh, you can book that. Go ahead.
You can book it.
Week 4. He won't
hang
even
on.
make it a month.
In week 4, if there's a week 4, I'm predicting a week 4 loss.
Yeah.
They're calling for Russ's head, and they're going to start Justin Fields in week 5.
They could lose the first 4 games, and that won't happen.
Ah,
That's crazy.
time to book it. You can
me.
book it. Week 5, Justin Fields is starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Jeez Louise. No, thank you. I think Russell Wilson, you know what? Let's just go for it. Russell Wilson finishes top 10. He's a quarterback 1 in a 10-team league.
Finishes top 10. And what if he doesn't play the whole year? I'm not voiding this
Oh,
take.
no. Well, you can't do that. You can't just be like, oh, he didn't play. He got hurt. Like,
Whoa. No, okay. Injury is different. If he gets benched because he's playing poorly.
I don't think that happens. I think they win 10 games. I think they make the playoffs. And if that's the case, he's played the whole year, right? So whatever, I'll say top 12 because a lot of people play 12-team leagues, right? So I will say he is a quarterback 1 at the end of the year. John says, man, you really did smoke something before the show. That's not... No, John. We're straight edge here.
QB.
I
Wow.
really think
All
it's
right.
going to go well, which then goes into George Pickens. Finishes wide receiver 23 last year with a terrible team. Going in the 7th round, I love that as well.
George Pickens in the 7th? That's a great spot.
Yeah.
Love that. Would you rather have George Pickens in the 7th or Amari Cooper in the 5th?
Amari Cooper in the 5th, because I think that is also underdrafted, right? I think
think
they
it's
should
George
go
Pickens
right
in the
next.
7th.
Like, it for me, you push both of them up around, right? I'd take Amari Cooper in the 4th. I would take George Pickens in the 6th. So I really, honestly, I think like this is going to be a lot better of an offense. Going wide receiver 2, they got Roman Wilson. They got, so, you know, really more to be. Go ahead.
I love Roman Wilson.
Okay.
That is a spot I like. And I saw some people in the chat too. I think someone was chatting. I was looking. I can't see it now. And was saying that in Dynasty, he's going like 2nd or 3rd round, which is great. And I think in redrafts, picking him up in like the 18th, which is basically waiver pickups. Love that.
Yeah.
Next, we have Pat Freiermuth.
Go ahead, yeah.
Pat Freiermuth, if Adam was here, he would talk. He does not like Pat Freiermuth. But he finished as tight end 28, didn't even play all the games. Meh, forgettable, but he's going as tight end 16.
Meh.
How do you feel about tight end 16, Jake?
I mean, I like this whole offense. That's the thing. I think
Really?
it's
The
going
whole
to be
offense?
better. We didn't even talk about Najee. The disrespect. I think this whole offense. I believe in Mike Tomlin, right?
Yeah.
And this was bad last year, and they won 10 games.
Yeah, but who is their offensive coordinator now, Jake?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Arthur Smith.
They're gonna run the ball. Love me some Najee.
Yeah, but they're not going to use Najee, and they're not even going to use Jalen Warren. They're going to use some
I saw a
random
really
other person.
interesting thing where you know how Najee Harris got his 5th-year option declined, but then Travis Etienne's was accepted. But Najee has been healthier, has been more reliable, has more touchdowns and yards, mainly because he's been more healthier. Which I just thought it was interesting because everyone's like, you would love some Travis Etienne, right? But he hasn't.
He's done it more recently.
Well, I mean,
Travis Etienne, that's hard because you got to throw out his whole first year. He didn't play a snap.
yeah, you're not there, man. Sorry. I just don't.
Right.
I just think I think the world. You had to have been a little surprised that Najee Harris didn't get his 5th year picked up.
Yeah, but that whole offense is question mark. You're right, but I do.
You have 1,100 total yards and 8 touchdowns, and they're like, nah, I'm good. And maybe that's just because they love Jalen Warren, but Jalen Warren's not built like a guy who's is going to be the bell cow, right?
Yeah, well, Jalen Warren had 61 receptions, and that is attractive.
I think is really interesting because Russell Wilson really dumped it down the last 2 years in Denver. I will say I don't think he does it as much this year.
Man, you just have a lot of Russell Wilson takes.
I like some Russ.
You were last year.
I like some Russ. I wish Adam was here so he could tell me how much he hates Russ. But there you go, guys. That's the AFC North. Jordan, what do you think of this division?
This division, this is also an aspect of this that we didn't really get into because we don't really talk about schedules and stuff. This division's brutal.
Yeah.
Like they beat up on each other a lot in this division. And so that's also, 6 of your games are like kind of slugfests.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're all very, very good teams. I wouldn't be surprised if any of them made the playoffs. And that's how I feel like any one of these teams could make the playoffs.
Yep. It takes one injury and all of a sudden it'll tank you.
It's totally different. So it's a fun division to watch. It's one of my favorite divisions to watch. Fantasy relevant players up and down. It's just so fun.
Yeah, Joey pointed out the Pittsburgh's this way, and so is Chicago. They don't see a division rival until week 11, which is really interesting.
Wow.
So, Jordan, next week we got the AFC South, right?
South or West?
No, let's go South because we already went in the wrong order. So, let's go South. That way we can
go in the wrong order.
You're supposed to start with the North, then the East, then the South, then the West. You go in a circle. That's how it works. 2 years of this. And then the graphics department went and messed it up.
I'll have some talk with some interns. It might be time for new interns. I'm accepting applications.
If you would like to be an intern on the podcast, please reach out to Jordan on our Facebook page at the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. Jordan, is there anything you would like to say?
Nope. Everyone have a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend, and we look forward to catching you all next week.
Which means next week, if I'm looking at a calendar, next week will be our last May episode, and then we'll be in June, and that's when June rolls around and everyone's like, let's draft. So
yeah, it's fantasy football time. This is a little bit of the dry spell. This is only the serious people.
In my eyes, June rolls around and it's like, all right, it's fantasy football time.
Jake's always trading in June.
I love a good June
June
trade.
really picks up.
June will be our first league that we drop, by the way. So
very exciting.
Guys, we will see you next week with the AFC South. Take care. Be good.
Listening to the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. Follow and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube at the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast.